Alright, I'll take that as our crew to start. Hello everybody, my name is Jaxler, and this is going to be a run of Scooby-Doo Night of 100 Frights, any percent. We're going to be doing the no CE route, which we'll explain what that means when we get there. But before we start, I'd like to introduce my virtual couch, if you want to go ahead.
And this is a pretty fun run, and I'll let Snowy...
Did you say your name again?
I'm Baz, and I'm a fellow runner of this game, been running it for a while, and so I'll pass it over to Snowy.
Hi, I'm Snowy Moogle, and I also play this game a lot.
So yeah, they're gonna help me out on the mic, because this game is like really technical. I know the game, like the name of the game wouldn't suggest it, but there's a lot of stuff going on in this run. We don't have a lot of time to talk about it, so I'm gonna need all the help I can get. But just one thing we'll note briefly before we begin is that we're going to be doing this run on the GameCube version of the game, which won't come into play until roughly, I'd say, like 15-20 minutes into the run. Well, not, yeah, 15 or so. I don't remember, new route, confusing. Anywho, alright, we're just going to go ahead and start time in 3, 2, 1, and go. Alright, so I'm going to be quiet here for just a second so I can listen when to skip to this cutscene, and then we'll start explaining what's going on with this game. There we go. Okay, so if you've never seen or heard of this game before, this is a 3D Metroidvania that was released in 2002 by Heavy Iron Studios. They were the same people who made Battle for Bikini Bottom, SpongeBob Movie Game, and a couple other legendary Golden Age of platformer licensed type stuff. So at the start here, we go into the playground bit. You're going to see me collect a bunch of Scooby snacks. These are required for snack gates, which are kind of placed at certain spots and levels to get your progress until you've kind of explored enough. So we will be oh, game stole my jump there. So we will be skipping some of those gates throughout the run, but we have to go out of our way in some spots in order to grab extra snacks. So that's why we're here right now.
Yeah, it definitely seems like we're spending the first minute of the run literally going out of our way to get snacks. Trust us, it is very much worth it.
Yeah. So we're going to be spending some of them right away. That's an example of a snack gate. That one's really inexpensive. It's only 25, but some of the snack gates go as high as like 850 later on in the game. So as a result, we get some quick ones in advance. Do you want to explain Chandelier Jump?
Yeah, so you're not only not supposed to do this, but with a well-timed single jump right there.
There we go. Yeah, so essentially what's going on there is, and right here as well, is there's a lot of abuse of the game's super lenient coyote frame system. Essentially, there's a lot of surfaces in the game that are enough of a slope to give you your double jump back, so that's kind of what we're doing in there a bit.
Yeah, and you'll see that used throughout the run for a bunch of tricks that we're going to do, especially once we get kind of the double jump and we can abuse that extra height a little bit more. And we'll use it to skip a couple key areas of the game.
Yeah, so you're also going to see me use this charge attack. We're not going to explain like how the movement in this game works quite yet because it won't make much sense in this level. But this is sort of the start of a bunch of cycle-based levels. So every level in this game has its own global cycle to it, and most enemies and a lot of obstacles and platforms all operate off a unique global cycle. So as long as we go at a consistent speed through the level every time, we know where everything will be. So right there, I know exactly how to path through those rats right there so that I don't take a hit. And then those rats line up in a nice place so that when I staircase up here, I'll just be able to get straight up. And that was like a 38, so that was pretty good. Baz, do you want to explain Rubber Band Skip?
Yeah, so up here in this room, we're going to do a trick called Rubber Band Skip. You're supposed to swing on Shaggy, and he gives this great line about knowing what a rubber band feels like. But we don't want to know what that feels like, so we're just going to do a single jump, and we're going to skip that completely, get the snacks, and move on.
Cool. So a lot of scenery abuse going on here. There's like a lot of like crates in general in this game, stuff like that we can use to our advantage. Okay, so got there in a little bit of an off cycle, so I took an intentional hit there so I could just run straight through the caveman. These hook cycles are also based on like the opening global cycle, but depending on like any little movement flow that you have, they can be in a different position. So you kind of have to do it a lot to get used to the different cycles that can be there. So
this game is a lot lot of like we're going out of our way to get stacks. We're trying to be fast. At the same time, we're also trying to make cycles. So there's a lot going on in pretty much every level in this game.
Okay, 1 frame window trick right here. Let's see if I hit it. Ah, I missed it. Okay, so I was going for something there called tar strats. There is a 2-frame window when loading into this level where you can unstick yourself from the tar. I can't jump right now, and I'm at a slower walking speed, but if you jump within 1 to 2 frames of the level loading, you can actually avoid that and land on a crate and jump around a bit more. But the whole point of coming out here was to get the double jump. Believe it or not, this game is actually kind of like a 3D Metroidvania. So we sort of the general theme of the game is you go around, find a power-up that unlocks access to a new area. So we get the double jump right there, and then we immediately death warp, which puts us right by the door, so we don't have to walk through all the tar again.
Yeah, and there are...
Yeah, these springs are gonna... You'll see...
Yeah, Snowy, go ahead.
Yeah, you'll see these springs will give us access to our next section. And yeah, like Baz was saying, like we out of all the power-ups in the game, there's like 10 or so. In the any percent run, we will only be getting like 4 of them. We pretty much only get what we need to beat the final boss.
Yeah.
And so, basically, because of that, these 4 inventions are the key to basically every category in this game. The key to the whole game, really, is if you can get these, you can get basically anything else in the game in any order you want it to.
Yeah, it's crazy how much you can like break open this game if you know what you're doing. So going into the hedge maze here, I guess this is probably the best time to sort of explain how this charge attack works. So you've been seeing me abuse it already throughout the run for movement. It's normally used to stun enemies, but as you can see, it makes you run faster than normal running speed, but there is a catch to it. At the beginning of the animation, you actually move a bit slower than your base running speed. So in order to capitalize on the charge movement, you actually have to make sure that you have enough space in order to get the full animation going. Otherwise, you can actually lose time by using the charge. So one of the big things in learning the movement of this game is learning where you need to start up your charges so that you can get maximum movement out of them. I was going for a little bit of another slope jump right there. Oh, okay.
Still got one anyway.
Yeah, there we go. So there was a rather big route change that actually happened recently. We used to get a bunch of extra backup snacks here and do something here called bridge jump, but I'm actually going to be avoiding that. I think this is going to be the first marathon where we show off like a completely new snack route that it technically only stays like 10 seconds, but it'll look way cooler once we get to the cliff levels.
Oh yeah, this route is, we call it the swag route because of the trick Jax is gonna do here in about a minute.
Yeah, you'll get to see. But Baz, do you want to explain the trick I'm about to do overhead?
Okay, so this is the first major break from like the casual playthrough. Usually you just keep going through the hedge levels, but we're gonna die here, and if you saw that gate in the background the first time through, Jax here, he's gonna clip through this gate, which basically puts us to like the very middle of the game, like 5 minutes into the game. And so we're gonna use that to go backwards through these Skull Cliff levels to skip going through all of the hedge maze levels, which skips 2 snack gates and like 5 levels.
Yeah. There's normally like a big auto scroller that you have to go through where you ride on the back of a lawnmower.
A lawnmower?
Yeah, I was like a mowing machine. Like, what is that? Yeah. But yeah, it just so happens that these levels over here happen to spit you out in the same level you get that next Metroidvania upgrade, so that's why we're coming through this way. All right, who wants to take a stab at what I'm about to do here?
Okay, so in this game, there are what are known as void warps, where if you can get out of bounds enough, the game will spit you out at the quote-unquote start of the level. So using Jaxler, he's going to be doing a bunch of precise jumps and movement here so that he can get out of bounds. And again, remember that we are going through the Skull Cliff levels backwards? So when he gets out of bounds enough, the game will spit him out at the actual start of the level. And right here,
looks like we're good. Nice, we got it. Okay, cool.
He just skipped like probably the longest level in any percent right there.
But interestingly enough, even though that skip saves a boatload of time, it actually, in the course of this category, saves only 10 seconds. And the reason being is that by doing that skip, we skip so many snacks that we have to go into some levels you don't normally see in any percent in order to make them all back up. But those are also really cool as well, so that's part of the reason why it's called the swag up. But these next couple levels are pretty straightforward. I'm going to be doing some like charge momentum conservation across a couple different platforms. So if you got any like donations or messages that you want to plug right now would be a pretty good time.
Awesome. Well, we do have a $50 donation from Nikono, who says, I think of a better way to spend my money than to help people stay fed during this pandemic. Amen to that.
Thank you so much for your donation.
And I would just like to note real quick, the bonus any % run for Morrowind has been met.
Yo, let's go. Thanks, everybody. Alright, so Snowy, do you want to explain what I'm going to do in this next section up here?
Oh yeah, in Skull 1, Jax is going to be doing a pretty scary ledge jump, but don't worry, he will be okay. So it turns out just on that wall, you can jump off of it. No need to worry, skip a platform cycle. But in addition to that, these like boards up ahead, he's just going to kind of climb up those pretty quickly. You're not really intended to jump off of those, but they have collisions, and it works out. And like we were mentioning earlier, now we are at the end of the hedge maze, where the next Metroidvania power-up is.
Yeah, so at this point, right here, I'm actually doing a bit of a manipulation. So that zombie right there will start moving towards you to attack you once you get close enough. So I manipulate him by using specifically placed charges in order to delay his attack so I can get by kind of safely. If I went fast enough here and I start a charge right about here, I can cruise around that rock while maintaining a charge. So like I said, you want to avoid like stopping your charge part of the way through, otherwise you're just going to end up losing speed. So right there, I have to go fast enough to make sure I can maintain a charge right there. Doing some more jumps off the rocks because you just can. And then we'll grab the helmet up at the top and then break open a crate for some more snacks. And then
should we start explaining? Sorry, Galoshes.
Oh yeah.
It'll go
So
by
I'm gonna take another
really
death
fast.
Yeah, go for it, Snowy.
So normally at this point you're supposed to go through the manor, and then you fight the first boss of the game to get into the Fishy Clues levels. And the power-up you get at the end of Manor would give you access to Fishy Clues. However, the invisible wall they put there to block you from getting in early is just a little bit too low. And that's about, like, a quarter of the game skipped right there.
Yep.
And right here is also where another new route for any person came into play recently on the Xbox version. And so that's why most people haven't run it. And it allows you to skip all of these Fishy Clues levels and all of the coast levels after this, and saves about 8 minutes off of an already like 25-minute run. So
yeah,
it's super fast.
That's actually where the CE or no CE comes from.
Yeah,
any
so
percent run.
Yeah, by showing you all this category, you get to see all these really cool levels, like the previous one, which we didn't have much time to explain, but might honestly be the single hardest screen in the entire run, just because of the way that momentum is conserved through the conveyor belts, if you will. Snowy, you usually like to talk about snacks here, so I'll let you do your thing.
Yeah, Fishy 2 here is actually one of my favorite levels in the run, just showing off the uniqueness of how this game works. So with the cycle, with the way the cycles work in Fishy 2, Jax is never going to directly lose or save time in the level. However, he's going to be trying to make all these cycles while also trying to get as many of these snacks as possible. And with the way snacks work, if he misses too many snacks, he'll have to get some slower snacks later on. Or if he has a lot of snacks, maybe he can skip some snacks he'd normally get. So Fishy 2 is literally a level all about getting as many snacks as you can while making these cycles. And it's really interesting because, again, he's never going to directly save or lose time, but because of his snack collection, he might save or lose time later in the run.
I'll just say right now, we're probably going to lose time. Just marathon nerves, missed a couple of snacks I normally don't there, but it's not a huge deal.
So here we're going to do a little skip also to jump up these platforms without having to wait for them, and then we're going to jump the gap and get to the other side of this level without having to go like around this annoying maze of spinning platforms, and it saves just some slow snack.
I think it's like a 20-second save. Do a short little jump right there to put me right into the door, and then one of my favorite levels in the whole run, Fishy Clues 4, just because a lot of these conveyors work in your favor here, so you just get to go really fast. We'll skip one of them with a little bit of a scary looking jump right there. Cool. Nice, okay. So this is kind of one of those threshold points where I'm looking at my snack count to see where I should be at right now. I'm going to be going in at like 896, which I think is on my snack route. Again, this is kind of a newer route, so I'm still getting used to where my snacks need to be, but that's looking pretty good. That was like a 249 on the segment timer for that, so do your math as for your split method, but...
that's really good.
Yeah, we'll take it. Alright, cool. So this is mostly just grabbing snacks. Right after this is probably like the hardest sequence of levels in a row in the whole game. The Coast for some Ghost levels. First one probably being the hardest, but I'll let y'all start explaining what's going on here. Whoever wants to.
Yeah, I'll actually, before we get into the levels themselves, I'll explain Scooby's charge. Jax has done it a couple times in the run already, but when Scooby does his charge attack, his hitbox becomes extremely narrow, and it's so narrow to the point where enemies actually can't hurt you. You'll see the caveman right up ahead here. Jax would normally get hit, but because he's charging, the caveman just doesn't hit him. And we'll definitely see him use that a lot in the upcoming levels here. And we're also going to see him go for a pretty precise cutscene skip right here.
Got it. Let's
go. That's a lot harder than it looks. The cutscene trigger there is very high up. Definitely not the easiest trick when you're learning this game, and it saves like 10-ish seconds.
Yeah, there's an easier method where you can death warp while the cutscene is playing, but it kind of messes up some of the enemy cycles later, so no one really likes to go for it anymore. Yeah, cool. Okay, I should also mention that you're not supposed to get those snacks I grabbed up there until you get the plunger's power up as part of the Metroidvania path. But you can kind of just jump up there. It's really not that big of a deal. Someone want to explain the kind of manip I'm doing here?
Okay, so right here...
Oh, snap, I actually got the fast minute. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
So, that fish is a pain in the butt. It likes to eat you whenever it gets close to you, and it can make you do a damage animation, which loses about 2 seconds each time you get hit, and sometimes you can get hit like 2 or 3 times. So, getting that manip that Jax got was really good.
Also, right here, again, Scooby has an extremely narrow hitbox when he's charging, so Jax can just move around all those enemies and make a make what's called zero cycle here. So it's getting through these boxes as fast as possible, and that was a beautiful coast, too.
Yeah, that's like a 142 segment. This is really... I might gold this. We'll see. Alright, so Fishy 3 has a really cool strat. So coming up here, you're going to see a bunch of lines of snacks over what we call the coast boats. That is normally part of a secret for that monster token over there that you can't get until the Super Smash ability, which is actually what we're going to grab in just a little bit. But I'm going to do something really cool here in order to get all those snacks early and save a ton on like snack rounding and stuff. So right here, I'm taking intentional damage so I can become Great Dane Jesus for about 1.5 seconds. That allows me to actually walk on water so I can get over here without having the Super Smash power up. So interesting thing to note here, I'm going to be doing a bit of a scary jump. This is actually free on the 1.0 version of the GameCube disc because there's an invisible fishnet for some reason there that got patched out of the 1.1 disc, which is what I'm playing on. So that can be easier or harder as well depending on the version you play. But we are out of coast, and that was pretty good, so happy with no deaths there.
So now this is which way. This level is super straightforward. You basically just go through it straightforward. You go into the cave down here, or not.
Well, no, I don't. I actually started going for a bit of a different route here, where instead of going through here, I go up here, grab the snacks, and then turn back around. It's one of those weird sort of personal preference things, because it saves a little bit of time in the short run, but it does cost some snacks to go for. So it's one of those judgment calls that you have to make. Based on my snack count, I decided that it was worth it. It's about like 4 or 5 snacks that you give up if you don't go into the lower pit. So Snowy, do you want to explain some of what I'm doing here?
Yeah, so Jax is doing some... So when you hit that button there, that actually sends the light to the top of the lighthouse, and that light actually contains our next Metroidvania power-up. And we're supposed to be racing it to the top, but it is fastest to actually hit the button right away and then collect all those snacks. So you're going to see, once again, Jax is going to be doing some charges around these enemies, and he can't get hit because he is charging. And also just making sure his head doesn't hit the enemies, because that'll count as attacking the enemies, and it plays an animation, and it wastes like 1 second each time.
Yeah. Oh, but
okay,
luckily...
so,
yeah, you can judge how well you went through that if you can see the door closing on your way up here. That was really sick. Yep, so we got the Super Smash Power. It's a ground pound that lets us break some surfaces and access new areas. But importantly for us, it's going to let us go access the end of the game. But like I said, this is kind of a new route, so instead of just going straight to the end of the game, we're going to go take a detour into some levels that you're actually not supposed to be able to access until after you beat the Green Ghost boss fight. But we're going to be doing something kind of cool there.
And so this game already had like a notoriously hard end game. Like that's where almost everyone's runs would commonly die.
Yeah.
Like we have it. We call it the gauntlet of skips, and this new route just adds even more onto it that makes it extremely hard.
Yeah, and you'll get to see why we call it the swag route, because there's a lot of stuff you're going to see me go for that like you only really see in like all bosses or 100%. Okay, so right here, I'm going to go for a very tight double jump ground pound to land on the boat. Cool. That's usually used to exit through there, and we just make our way to Wreck on the Deck 1. So if someone wants to set, Baz, if you want to kind of like set up for the skip I'm going to do after I grab all these snacks.
Like a couple levels and some of the worst levels in the game, and get to a Jaxler to get to Redbeard. But what we can do here is there's a door to that level, and we can jump on this crow's nest early, and then we can jump over the invisible wall and just get into the level early.
Okay.
Jax missed it there.
Well, there goes PB, but I wasn't expecting it. There we go. Yeah, I'm used to doing that with the umbrella, so...
So now we just, like, it's intended to be a shortcut from the very end of the ship levels to the first one, but we're just using that not in the intended way. So now we're at the very end of the ship levels, and a Jaxler is actually, like, one of the highest snacks per second in a level in the game, which is why it's very much worth it to go out of our way here.
Yeah, you actually saw me... Okay, this is going to be interesting, so... I'm gonna have to orphan some snacks here because, like, the jumps between that you have to. So we're doing like these jumps between the life preservers backwards. So you actually saw me do a really scary ground slam boost off of one of the flying fish to get to the highest one. So yeah, there's a lot going on there. Unfortunately, I had to orphan a couple of snacks just because it wasn't worthwhile time-wise. It's going to be faster to back them up. Oops. Okay. So right here, going to go up here, grab these snacks, and then there will be some bats right here. Okay. Okay, no, that's good. So sometimes there will be bats there, and you can use the same sort of Jesus frames strat that I did in Post 3 in order to get a hidden box like behind that platform that I don't know how you're ever supposed to find casually. But this is kind of like, we're all kind of building up right now, snacks-wise, to sort of the last major threshold, which is that big 850 gate that I was alluding to earlier. We're just
1 health.
800 flat, so yeah, and I'm also at 1 health for this next bit. Baz, do you want to explain cauldrons?
So there's, so I messed it up there, but there is a way you can kind of jump through the bubbles, and we try to go for that because it saves about a second, and it can get you a faster cycle here.
Yeah.
And it's kind of tight. I think it's just a couple frame window that you have, and you have to do like a full jump. But here we can ground pound this button, and we can just get like a quick 9 snacks. And sneak past the zombie.
Alright, so we got the gauntlet is coming up now, so just a quick jump for that key right there. Don't worry about it.
And the first part of the gauntlet here is Redbeard skip. So normally in the ship levels, you'd fight Redbeard and give you a power-up. That would give you access to another area, but you skip that right there. Again, another huge chunk of the game. Skipped right there. And he's going to do the same thing. A few more precise ledge jumps. The first try is very nice there. That is green.
Let's go!
It's really good.
Not over yet.
So that's GGS. That's used to skip the Green Ghost, and it's the hardest trick in the any percent run. It kills most runs. And this is rail jump right here, so he's going to take advantage of some more bad collision and jump straight up to there, hit the button, and we have one more skip to go before the 850 gate.
Yeah, so just backing up on snacks a little bit here. So this is just kind of one of those things where after doing it long enough, you kind of know what's going on here. Someone want to explain Lido skip? If we have time, so.
Yeah, so just jumping off some collisions at the back of the room, which you can't really see. We can do that, run along the wall, jump off another collision in the wall, and that skips the lab levels. And that was actually the final snack gate right there, which we've been saving up for.
Yeah. So now we don't need to worry about stacks anymore. So we're going to see our pal Shaggy, who keeps somehow mystically getting teleported around the world, even though we left him in his not in jail cell. I don't know, but. Anyway, he's going to be stuck here. We actually used to have to do this as intended, but earlier this year, a runner named Sam found a way to skip this room, similar to the way that we do SES. Going to hold up and to the left, and I just clip right through the door.
Are we going to see Smashless?
Do I go for it? For the people? I'll go for it once.
Oh, yeah, one try. It looks very smooth.
Oh, I had it! No! Alright, that was my one time.
Oh, that was so sketch.
The platform there is like...
Yeah, you're supposed to get on the platform.
But, well, normally there's another platform you jump to first. Or you normally just use the Super Smash, which gives you a little bit more airtime. But it's very tight, but you can do it without the Super Smash. And it's very, difficult to get. It saves 1 second.
I only go for it when I'm behind, so I just figured why not go for it for the people. While we were talking about that, I clicked into the Mastermind fight by doing another 90-degree angle flip. Don't worry about it, you can just kind of do that in this game. But that lets us skip the first phase of the fight and a cutscene. So unfortunately we don't get to hear the banger of the final boss theme. But now we're just gonna be, we know exactly where these enemies are gonna spawn in every time. So we have a minute kind of set up so that we can bait the Funland robots into attacking the same way every time. Shoutouts to Cole, by the way. Sorry, that was mean. Inside joke. Okay. So anywho, after this, Mastermind's gonna make his way down to the arena, and what I have to do is ground pound on his head to stun him, and then helmet smash him into the lightning. And time ends once he gets electrified in the lightning fields in the back. So, okay, he can spawn in a bunch of different positions. That one's okay. This is probably
Nastani Mastermind spawn?
No, Nastani's more on the right side.
Sure.
Right,
yeah,
ready,
so...
and time. Cool.
So for that boss, there are a couple like places you'd like it to spawn up front, but if you can get it in quickly, it's still fine.
That's actually the only point of true RNG in the 90% run.
Yeah, and it's right really at the end. So by my count, that was a 25-42. So that's pretty dang good, including going for Smashless Acid. And almost hitting it. So yeah, that was Scooby 9 of Frights, everyone. We hope you all enjoyed that. Thank you, Baz and Snowy, for hopping on the mic with me last minute.
Come on, gang.
Because I forgot to ask.
I'm always happy to like help show off this game.
Yeah, this game's awesome. It's a really great introductory speed game to get into speedrunning. It's really easy to pick up. It's on PS2, GameCube, and original Xbox. Don't play on 360 though, trust me. But but yeah, seriously, like this game has a ton of resources for it, and everyone in the community is super nice and welcoming. I mean, like people will like sit down in a voice call with you to help you with these strats. Like it's one of those kinds of communities. Also, two more shoutouts. Shoutouts to Don Knotts, who's the voice actor of the Groundskeeper right here, the absolute legend, and also Tim Curry, the voice of the final boss. Just some fun facts for y'all. But yeah, shout out to the whole Scooby community and to the Midwest Speedfest team for making this happen, quite frankly. I'd also like to thank the people who are running the French-Japanese restreams as well. They put in a ton of work doing that, so I just wanted to shout them out as well. And yeah, Baz, Snowy, do you folks have anything else to say before we get to Scoob Step?
I'm just gonna say, if anyone is interested in running this game, we do have a Scooby Speedrun Discord server, which you can just find on this game's leaderboard on speedrun.com. It's basically a server for... this is like the more popular Scooby game, but we have a server for basically all
Yeah.
Scooby speedrunning. So if you want to check this game out and like
Even
hang
the
out
bad
with
weird
me,
PSP titles.
Or the
Yeah.
Walking Through DS.
yeah, it's my favorite Scooby game.
I also want to specifically shout out Harsh because he makes all the great tutorials for this
Yeah,
game.
absolutely.
And if you learn this game, you are going to be watching a Harsh tutorial
Yeah, most
at
likely.
some point. And
Harsh
they're
is-
very well put together. So
Yeah, Harsh has made multiple very good tutorials. He does have 2 any percent tutorials for a more beginner-friendly and a more advanced route. Again, another resource if you are interested in checking out this game.
What I don't get is how she got the professor
And
here.
yeah, and if also if you
and
feel free
there's
to reach
also
out.
a 100% tutorial that's
That is
5
also
hours
true,
long.
but Hundo is hard, so maybe start with a shorter category. But yeah, that's pretty much all we got. If we have time, we can listen to the credit spot. For some reason, the credits theme of this game, I like to call it Scoob Step. It just has like this, excellent
Holly must have
like
used it to
it's
get
literally
you ahead of
Scooby-Doo
us,
dubstep.
then
I don't know
switch
how else
places
to
with her
explain
uncle.
it.
Who she's
So
already stuffed up there.
yeah, that's pretty much all we got. So if we need to get Marathon back on schedule, it's totally fine. But
don't forget the most important.
yep, okay, cool. So that's gonna be it for us. I'll post a YouTube link for anyone who wants to watch it later. But yeah, thank you so much, everybody. Go check out the rest of the event and support all the other runners. Thank you so much, and thank you for having us. Take it easy.